California. I love it. Good morning. It's just little old me today. Taylor, I'm sure if you saw her live on Tuesday, and she might not, I don't think she'll care if I say she's not feeling well, which is not fun this time of year when you have a list. I don't know about you, but I do. A list a mile long of things to do. So good morning. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're all getting your Christmas stuff done. I'm usually super on it and ready, and this year I am not. So my family Christmas is on Saturday, and I have a long list of things to do tonight and tomorrow night before. Not really running around, but things aren't wrapped. I don't have like gifts put together, like as far as like grab it from here. I have to do desserts and all the things. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm behind, and I'm normally pretty ready. So good morning. I think it's because I didn't have a lot to do this year, so I just let it go, and I'm a little behind. I hope you all are doing well and ready. Your family, Mary says her family Christmas is Saturday too. Good morning. Oh, thanks. Farley loves my sweater. I do too. My really cool daughter picked it out, and then I was like, I think that's a little big for you. You should give it to me. I bought it, so yeah. Thank you. Good morning. So I confiscated it from her. She got it last year and then never wore it, so I said I would like to have it. So yeah. But she's my daughter's cool. She has a really good eye at picking things out. So thank you, Iris. That's so nice. Well, good morning, everyone. Tell me if you're ready for Christmas, because I feel like I might be the only one. I have a lot to get ready for Saturday, and then we get together with the other side of the family on Christmas, so I have a few things to do for that. It's mainly wrapping, and then I'm going to be in trouble because the people are in the house that I need to wrap for. So being a sleuth about it and trying to not show or let anyone see anything, I'm going to be in trouble. So thank you. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Everyone likes my sweater. I can't wait to tell my daughter Caitlin. She might want it back if I tell her though, but it's a little big on her. So yeah. Good morning. All done and ready. Oh, good for you. Do some baking tomorrow. I love it. My stove went out at Thanksgiving, and we've been going around and around with having it fixed and things. So the baking is going to be a struggle that I have to do tomorrow night. So I can maybe get the oven to work for 20 minutes. So let's hope everything goes well, and then it'll kick off and it won't work. So we are getting that done, but it's going to make baking hard, and no Christmas cookies at my house this year because of it. So good morning. We've got Omaha. Thank you. Everyone loves my sweater. Thank you. I cannot wait to tell my daughter, so that's cute. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. And oh my gosh, we have lots to talk about today. There's not a lot to talk about as far as what's going on at TE. We next Tuesday there's nothing going on because it's the day after Christmas, and I'm sure you all will be resting and putting paper away and picking up all the things. So Taylor will not be live on Tuesday. She will be here on Thursday next week, and we'll be sharing some things with you. The one other thing that's going on right now is we reopened another like order of pre-sale for the glass board, which is amazing. I know some of you have been posting your pictures on Facebook, and I am jealous of your craft rooms and all of your amazing organization. So that is available right now, that pre-order for the glass board. If you need a last minute crafty gift, don't forget we've been showing gift card ideas all week. So yeah, all kinds of things. That's what's going on here. And then yeah, next Tuesday, Taylor will not be here. Give her a little more time to rest. She will be here tomorrow for those of you that are joining us for the Advent calendar and the opening of the Advent calendar. So tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., I will be here. Taylor will be live with you. So come join us tomorrow morning. All kinds, we've got Minnesota and Texas and Illinois. Good morning, everyone. So today I am sharing with you something that has been in my craft room that I've been using, and I haven't used it here at TE very much, or shown on a live, is our pearl embossing powder. It's a little bit different. I love the pearl look to it, but it's pearl that allows the color of your cardstock or ink to show through. So there's some like little I don't know, like pointers with it or thoughts that I have to share with you. So that's what we're gonna do today. So let's get to it. I'm gonna show you. These are my cards. So these are the two I'm gonna focus on today. And it's not a very fun topic, especially this time of the year with present wrapping and all the fun things and baking cookies and things we're doing. But pet sympathy, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even have a pet in my house. We have the cat that has adopted us that we feed, but he lives outside. He has a little house and a warm water bowl and all the things, but I have so many people in my life that have animals and pets and cats and dogs and all the things, and I cannot tell you, unfortunately, recently I've needed pet sympathy. So about a year, well, no, I guess it was this spring, my dad had his dog pass, and I did a card for him. And he was so touched by the card and the saying that TE has for this stamp set. It's called Care and Comfort Pets. It's one of our smalls, one of our small stamp sets. So it's an inexpensive set. But oh my gosh, the words on it just touch people so much. So my dad was he just was blown away that someone would send him a sympathy card for a pet and just loved the wording on it. This is my favorite. Our pets love us unconditionally, soften our lives with sweetness and affection. Such treasures can never be forgotten. I love that one. I love all four of the sentiments that are on that, but unfortunately I've needed it a lot, and ever since I sent that one to my parents, every time they have a friend that has an animal pass, I get the call. Can you make me one of those cards, Susan? So, and I am not kidding, sadly. My mom called me last night and said her very good friend in California had to put their dog down and she wants a dog card. And I said, isn't that crazy? Because those are the cards I am doing tomorrow for my live. I didn't tell her that, but it's just, she thinks these cards are so cool, and I just thought I would share it with you. So on the website, I posted a version of the card that I did for my dad this spring. It's under I think it's under the dog dies. So these dies come in several varieties. So there's the silhouette cats, and then they have several silhouettes for the dogs. They have the puppies, the large breed, and the small breed. And honestly, I know not everyone's dog is in here, but I just pick one that's close. Like my dad had a rat terrier that he had that passed away this spring, and I used this one. I know that's probably not a rat terrier dog, and it's actually part of this. It is a small breed, obviously, but just I kind of look at the ears and kind of the size, and that's how I pick what dog to pick. So, and then the puppies too. I guess I don't use those quite as much. I used this one the other day for my niece. My niece's dog passed away just because she had more of a lab, and even though he wasn't a puppy, I just thought the shaping of the body worked. So I just decide which one fits more of the dog that I'm making it for. So and then I had a girlfriend that had a cat, so I sent that one off. That was also this spring, and I just find I make them a lot. So even if you don't, I apologize, it's kind of a sad topic right now, but I cannot believe how often I need these. Also, the ideas I have for you with the pearl is hopefully helpful to you and kind of opens the door to something new to you. So the TE embossing powder is called White Pearl, and I don't think you guys, I've told you this before, I've been stamping for like 20 years. That dates me, I know, but I have always liked a good white pearl embossing powder. In the past, I've had white pearl that shows white with a pearl. The TE White Pearl allows you to see the color underneath, and I will explain that. So and I'm going to show you, I have all these samples to show you, so and I'll explain what each column here means. If I can get my fingers to open these up. I just picked a bunch of different colors to kind of stamp them out, and obviously you do not need to do this. I just wanted to do it just to be able to show you. So all of these are just Versamark with the pearl on the top. So when you go on darker colored cardstock, it shows up kind of silver. Let me see if I can get that to show. It shows up a little bit more of like a bluish silver tint if you put it on a dark cardstock. It's a very different look. That isn't, I love it, but, and it sure it has great applications, but that's not what I'm gonna focus on today. I like what I get when I put this on lighter tone cardstock. So even like these two, so this is mulled wine, this is blue corn, this is tropical punch, and this is dried fig. And if you notice, they all show up kind of a silver blue tint, which is nice, but I really like the results I get on a lighter color cardstock. So guava, lavender glaze, rose water, confetti cake, pineapple, and then this is mint julep. Even the pineapple kind of shows up kind of gold. Isn't that crazy how it just looks so different on different tones of cardstock? So this is just Versamark, which makes a tone on tone look, and then with the white pearl on the top of it. Oh, cool. I'm just checking comments, and I guess you're still with me. I didn't make you turn off, being I said I was talking about pet sympathy, but it just touches people, and I'm glad you're sticking with me here. So these are samples of, I stamped with guava first, cleaned my ink pad. I used my Misty, obviously, stamped, and then I went over the top. I stamped it with guava, cleaned the stamp, then went over it again with Versamark, and then with the pearl. So it gave a little bit darker look, but I still am not getting so much of that blue silver tone. Does that make sense? So this is guava just with Versamark, and this is guava with the guava ink underneath the Versamark. So I just wanted to show you how different your looks can be. I apologize, this is rose water, and then I must have grabbed cupcake. I meant to put them side by side for you to compare. I didn't do that right. So again, this is lavender glaze, and then this is with the lavender glaze ink under the top and without, confetti cake, so on and so forth, the same way. So it just gives a different look. Adding the ink color underneath makes it slightly darker, but I guess it's just what you need it for and what look you're going for. They're pretty similar, but it is slightly different if you want a little bit darker tone. But isn't that amazing how that looks? But I am the person that loves Versamark, which is clear on it and gives that tone on tone look. But the pearl just kind of steps that up a smidge. I do have one here somewhere that's white or sugar cube. So someone mentioned wedding, so I did this one because I wanted to show you how pretty this could be for a wedding card. Can I catch that? Can you kind of see it? I'm delayed a little bit from you guys, but it's really stunning. It's quite the beautiful, yeah. Someone said I used it for a wedding card on buttercream. I hadn't tried that one. That one sounds beautiful. That would be great too, because that would give you even more of like a mother of pearl look. So anyway, just wanted to show you all the different things that you can do with it. This again is, I use macaroon, and then did the clear, the Versamark, and then the pearl, sorry. So the ink, the Versamark, then the white pearl. So I've got our macaroon with pearl on it. So let me get these out of the way. I just kind of wanted to show you, obviously I don't think you would have to go through all of that stamping and embossing, but I wanted to show you how different it can look. So this one, I just wanted to show you really quick. Let me grab a Misty quick and show you what I mean by putting a little bit of that. Let me see if I have a Misty magnet here. Putting a little bit of the ink underneath, what a difference it makes. It takes one more step because you have to clean your ink pad off. I'm using the thing with feathers. I love feather images. I use them a lot, especially in sympathy. So I think I need Taylor to do this in an all over background because I just love this feather, and yeah, I think it'd be really pretty. So again, this is just spearmint with that smaller feather. Stamp it. grab my Just Press because I forget it. Check my messages to make sure I'm not missing anything. Love the mint julep. I completely agree. Someone said that it's really pretty. And normally I don't reach for mint julep a ton, but isn't that gorgeous? This is the one with the ink underneath, but this is the one with just Versamark. So it's a little lighter, a little softer if that's what you're looking for. Between applying the Versamark, I assume you mean after the ink. I really don't wait too long. And you're gonna see it here, I stamped the spearmint long enough to wipe my stamp down. And I always try to make sure that I don't have, especially if you're using a baby wipe or a stamp cleaner, make sure you have that dry because that also will seep into your paper. And we will take a powder tool, and you could have done this first, but I didn't. And then, being as I'm using my Misty, my feather's in the exact same spot, or if you were doing a background, just make sure nothing moves. And then I'll stamp it right over the top. And I am a stamp it twice person, just because I can. So I didn't wait very long. Maybe a couple of minutes, whatever time it takes me to kind of get things cleaned up. I haven't noticed that it makes a difference. I suppose if you had a really like well inked ink pad, like you might want to wait a minute just to make sure, or a couple of minutes just to make sure that your ink is dry so you don't have any feathering or anything like that. So shake that off. So again, that was just spearmint, cleaned my stamp, Versamark, then pearl. Dump this back in. I will say with the pearl, there is a little bit of a residue it leaves on your paper, but I just keep a Swiffer in my stamp room for such things. I use it for removing the powder tool residue, and I'll use it for something like this. So I'm gonna let my tool heat up a little. This is when I keep myself occupied by heating the back of my cardstock. And this is when I really used, not kidding, I used this yesterday a ton. Our little mitts. Just because I picked a 2x2 piece of paper, it's kind of small. Can you see that turning? So there we go. If I tip it maybe down in that light, maybe you'll catch it better. I think that's pretty. So that is spearmint with spearmint. So pretty look too. That is, so this card I made ahead, and I'm not going to focus on making this today, but I was just really curious because I love this vintage sprig background, and it came out with a Christmas stamp set, but I think you could use it all winter long. They just look like little berries that are on all of our trees during the winter. What was that powder tool you used? Oh, that's just our TE powder tool. It's got anti-static powder in here and then just a soft dome on the top. We sell that at TE, and we always put tape around it because everyone wants to twist. You just pull the lid off, but that is the powder tool I used. It's just got an anti-static powder tool in it. Yep. Iris says our ink dries super fast, 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm able to move on with the Versamark. So, but this background is spearmint with just Versamark and the pearl is what I did there on the background. The thank you is from a stamp set we've had around for a little bit too. It's called Oh My Word Thank You, and it has a coordinating die. That one, I did the thank you, and with that, I picked a coordinating color, which was Poblano Pepper, and I stamped that, cleaned my stamp, then did the Versamark and the pearl over the top. And you know what? I just realized, look what I did. Did anyone else catch that? Did I just use clear? I used clear on this feather. Eee, look how pretty that is. Not pearl at all. Meant to use the pearl. But this one is pearl. So it was Poblano Pepper with pearl over the top. So I knew I would make that mistake. I tried putting them in different spots here just so I didn't mess them up, because the lids look pretty similar from the sides. They look pretty similar. So you know what I meant though, right? Whoops. So I'll leave this one here just so I make sure I don't mess that up. But that's how I made that card. So this is just the Versamark with the pearl. This is with poblano pepper, Versamark, and then the pearl. So, and I just used our Subtle Sprigs dye to kind of zhuzh that up a little to add a little excitement, again with poblano pepper. And some silver glitter drops to kind of accent it. But just kind of wanted to show you that. Another one, this is one that I did for our remembrance release. And again, this is that smaller feather that I just did on these. I did that smaller feather and I repeated it all over the background with my Versamark, and then used my pearl embossing powder. So it's very subtle. In person, it's kind of hard to catch it in the light. There, I got it a little bit, but that is how I made that background. But again, this is something that I did back when we had a remembrance release. So let's get into making our pet sympathy card. You know what? Let's not. I have to do this. So yesterday we had our TE Christmas party, and something that completely touched me and everyone in this office was John and I think Kevin quietly asked a group of our customers to pick, you know, they separated everyone's name and asked people to send cards to our staff. It was the most amazing, touching thing ever. And I'm just going to show you. These were the cards that I got. I think I've got them all. I think I'm missing one right here. Oh my gosh. It literally brought tears to my eyes. All the sweet, kind things everyone said. I just kind of wanted to show and say thank you. Even if I didn't get your card, I am telling you, everyone in this office was so touched. It almost makes me teary-eyed just thinking about it. So it was just sweet that people would take the time to, and most all of them were handmade, make a card for us. And it was such an amazing surprise. I can't believe that they thought to do that, even to ask you guys to do that, and then that everyone did it. It was just so amazing. So, and in one of my cards, someone said how much they appreciated the remembrance release. And that is what this was from. And it's something that I have been asking for at TE for a while, because I just want people to remember that, you know, our loved ones, that they're not forgotten. So anyway, truly loved that. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated. And again, I'm not really sure how they found people or asked people. So if you didn't, or you didn't get the opportunity, we appreciate you too. So let's get on to our card. I used the background that's called Good Hearted. I've made this card in different versions. I just really love this heart, and I love putting the little heart in my die cuts, and I'm going to talk to you how I did that. But I used the Good Hearted background. It has a coordinating die they're a little more wonky. I personally, with these cards, choose to use our Little Bits hearts, and I just that's what I use. And I will go over how I make those hearts because they're pearled also. So let's start with this. So I have my background set up in my Misty. Obviously no foam because we don't need that. So today I was going to continue on with my pink, but the card my mother asked me to make last night was a card for her friend, and the doggie that passed away was her husband's dog, and it's a boy dog. So I decided to use the blue today. So when I came in today, I punted and grabbed this is saltwater taffy. I'm just going to put a little tape on the back, helps me hold it in place. And you can either position your background over your stamp, whichever you'd rather. I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up the way I normally do, which is into the door of my Misty, so that we're all ready to go. I'm going to just adjust it just a smidge. So again, the TE powder tool, cover my background really well. And I promise you, I will use pearl this time. Let's make sure I keep my pearl close. I'll put my clear away just to make sure I don't get it wrong. Ink it up with Versamark. I am not going to do the saltwater taffy color first because I really kind of want this background to be subtle and soft. I don't really want the hearts to be as noticeable, so I'm going to go. Oh, I'm hearing everyone chime in. like that they were privileged to be able to send us a card. That's so sweet. Thank you. Oh, Julie, you're the one that Val was sitting next to me at the table, and yeah, I saw that card. That was a very pretty card. So you guys are very talented. I saw all kinds of cool cards. So let's grab my Just Press tool, which I always seem to lose on my desk. I just can't tell you, that just touched my heart and the things people wrote in the card. And obviously some people know me from the lives, so they made live comments or comments about the lives, and it was just really cool. Very cool. Even the shipping department, several of them were talking about just how cool that was. So I double stamped it because that's what I do, right? Can't help myself. Have my pearl. I'm going to make sure it's white pearl this time. I knew I was going to do that, but it's no big deal. This just lets you know what spearmint looks like on spearmint with clear. Let's shake the pearl on this one. Tap it off. And I did bring a Swiffer with me because it is kind of pretty, the little bit of extra pearl that it leaves on the regular part of the cardstock. It doesn't leave embossing powder, it just kind of leaves a pearl sheen, but it wipes right off. And you could leave it on there, which doesn't hurt anything, but if you don't want it to come off in the envelope or on your recipient, you can wipe it off. It is very pretty though. So funnel this pearl back in. Yeah, make sure, I got to thinking I should make sure that this white pearl matches that. Grab my embossing tool. I like to start by holding it on the sides, and then I start at the opposite end. Good morning. I'm still getting a few good mornings. Thanks for joining us. So again, as I heat it up, I just happen to always heat the back of my cardstock. And then I like to start, as I told you guys before, I start in a corner and I watch it. That way I can make sure everything's done. So watching it turn, then I know I'm moving on to the next part. Keep my embossing tool at least an inch to 1.5 inches away. And then I just keep working my way through an area. And if I get this end done of my panel, I can flip it and I'll be able to hold that side. So like that, flip that around, and then I can keep my fingers out of the way of the heat tool, right? Someone mentioned that they've seen the sheen before, and it's absolutely fine to leave it. But I always just either use my jeans, if we're being honest, or a Swiffer to kind of wipe it off. Just make extra sure, because this isn't Ask Me How I Know. Your embossing powder stays hot for a minute, so just make extra sure that you let that cool before you go to wipe it, because it's almost like it smears and then it's hot, so it sticks to your fingers and it doesn't feel great. So I have done that. Okay, so up here in this corner, let's see if you can see it. This heart here looks like it's done, but it's really bubbly and has a lot of pits in it, or it's just not very smooth. That's actually not embossed all the way. So I'm going to come back up to this corner and finish that one off. So if you see that, that just means your embossing is not quite finished. Try not to overheat. I just did that the other day. I added too much heat to a clear sentiment, and I could see that it kind of doesn't, we always like to use the word burn, but it just pushes that embossing powder down into your paper. The pearl is hard. You really need to tip it in the light to make sure you got all the areas. So there's my background, and I am going to bring in, I have embossing powder, I can see it. I love my little vac. We sell these little We Are Memory Keepers vacs, and being I love to emboss, I use mine at home all the time. So I don't know if you've all seen this here. They decorated ours. So sometimes we get silly around here, right? So let's bring this back. So look how pretty. So again, that's saltwater taffy, and I will grab a card base. I do prefer our TE card bases because they're cut and scored, ready to go. It's convenience. I used to take the time to cut and score my own, so I had them ready to go, but hey, these are done. I love it. Kudos to the guys that had the idea. I agree. They're still talking about the cards. It was so cool. And even the gal at the front desk didn't know what was going on, I guess. She facilitated bringing in all the envelopes, but she must have had instruction to not say anything or not open or something. So it was pretty cool because they were all sealed when we got them. And yeah, it was fun. So anyway, we'll put some tape runner on the back of this one. If you ever notice, I'm noticing it, I was going too fast. If you ever notice that your tape runner isn't sticking to your cardstock, slow down, because we get going too fast sometimes and it just doesn't stick. So you're better off slowing down. Oh, Ira said you had to mail them to John. That's interesting. Very cool. Again, I've said this before, I lay my card bases open. It helps make sure that I'm not adhering anything upside down, and just keeps it so I don't have to fight with the card base popping up at me. So let's adhere that. Then I already die cut with our stitched rectangle stacklets. It's the second one down is what I chose. I took that and I die cut it from gray because I wanted another contrasting color to go with the saltwater taffy, so that's going there, and we will lay that there. Then I am going to add our sentiment. So I need white cardstock. I am going to use a little bit bigger piece than what I need. If you want to conserve your cardstock and you don't want to do it the way I'm going to show you, by all means die cut first. I just really like lining it up, making sure it's straight, and this is how I do it. If you're in a hurry and you just want to make a one-off card and you want a quick way to accomplish this, this is how I do it. I'm going to use my new little mini Misty. Aren't they so cute? We'll get our feather out of the way. Grab my sentiment. I usually use this Our Pets Love Us Unconditionally on the outside. And then I pick one of the sorry for the loss of your beloved friend on the inside. And I do still need to do that to my cards. I need to add them. So I'm going to take this. I will line it up best I can. Don't have to be too picky about it with this, the way that I do it. I will make sure it's slightly straight, but no big deal. I picked a piece of cardstock that is, like I said, a little bit bigger than I need. This way, I will take and use my ruler that we now have. I couldn't believe so many of you guys love it. How many of them went out the door? It's awesome. So again, powder tool, because I'm going to use VersaFine Clair and my clear this time, because I want the words to be really readable. Renee, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not really sure how they picked who they asked, but I know you all would have wanted to do it if you could, but yeah, it was awesome. So again, just thank you, whether from all of us, because I know we all really appreciated it. So, all right, I want to make sure that's on there. I'm going to stamp with our VersaFine Clair. This is our Nocturne, and again, as usual, I'm going to stamp it twice because I can. I like to stamp twice and not press as hard. That's especially with words, because if you press too hard, you make your lines or your fine lines of your words or anything else fine line, you make them kind of squish. So you don't want to do that. So here is that, and I have my clear this time. We'll emboss that. Funnel that back in, and I'm going to move the clear out of the way because I don't need it again, so I don't mess that up. Heat this one again. I heat it from the back, but my heat tool is warmed up Yes, Julie, Operation Secret Santa was phenomenal. Isn't it crazy that it's just a card? We don't need gifts, we don't need the thought, and it was total surprise. So you guys should chime in and tell me how many of you have pets at your house. I would just be curious. I know I don't, but pets are amazing. My husband had allergies for years. He went through an allergy thing, so he's not as sensitive anymore. But that's how come it just took us a lot of years, and we just never decided to have one. So, going to grab some tape, and again, this is one of my weird little things that I do that helps me line things up and make sure that they're absolutely straight. So I can take this die, and with the scallops, I can lay my ruler. I'm going to stick my head in. I apologize if my crazy hair gets in the way, but I can stick my ruler right there so I can line it up with one of those scallops, and I can see that my lines are straight. So I'm taking the top edge of that, and I can follow any line on this ruler, and I can see that I have my die going straight. I can tape it down. I'm going to double check because I feel like it may have moved on me. Nope. I guess I'm good. So it does waste a little bit of paper, but when I'm in a hurry, I go this route just because I don't have to be particular about, you know, having it perfect in the MISTI and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to take this to my die cut machine and cut it. So if you guys watch Taylor's live, I'm finding this out on Tuesday. Do you see that? All the felt little bits are on the die, what do you call them? All the cutting plates for the dies. So it makes it red on my cardstock because she die cut felt flowers on Tuesday. But I discovered my handy dandy little Swiffer that's laying around my desk is perfect for getting rid of all of that. Look how that's perfect, all cleaned up. And I can even use, while I have that Swiffer, if I want to get any of the pearl that might have attached. It's not the embossing, it's just the pearl sheen that gets on my cardstock. I use my Swiffer for that too. Now we're going to grab our dies for our doggies. We will die cut that in. And I think I'm going to go with this one. This kind of happens to be the dog I use the most, especially when I'm not certain of the breed of their dog. It just kind of seems like a good general one to pick. Let me get my tape. And again, I'm going to grab and I could have cut in my dog at the same time that I cut the scallop. It's completely up to you. So again, this is where my ruler comes out all the time because I can make sure my puppy's standing straight and he's not wonky. I'm going to take that back to my die cut machine again. You know what? This one I get to bring in, I think the mini. Yeah. I love using my mini die cut machine if I can. One of my favorite. This is just a smidge off the edges, but it'll still fit. And my die is down the middle. Let's run that through. And there is my dog, or you could pick a cat. I do honestly save these because I've made this same card and put this piece on top of a colored piece if you so choose, or it would be really cute on the inside, I guess. You could add it to the inside of your card also. Get this stuff out of the way. Grab this. So this is going to go over top of that, and I do still want to show you how I made those pearl hearts. This I chose to just adhere it flat down. When I do sympathy cards or thinking of you cards, I try really hard to kind of keep them kind of simple and not flashy or too much bling or too much dimension. I try to keep them a little bit more quiet, I guess is a good word. Okay, let's see. Oh, someone said rats are fun. Oops. Oh, a rat terrier. I'm checking. Everyone's telling me what kind of pets they have. I live through everyone else's pets, kind of. see there's, I'm gonna add this on. We always grew up with a dog, but it was always outside. So I never really had pets inside. Oh, dropped my ruler. Again, I'm butting my ruler just up next to my scallops, and then I can see that oyster cardstock. I don't think I told you guys that. This gray cardstock that I'm using is the oyster cardstock. And then we'll let that, I put liquid glue around these small parts of the dog, so then I usually just drop a magnet and let that dry. We will lay that flat, and then I want some foam tape to go behind this. We'll add that. I'm using, like I said, I like to keep the dimension a little bit lower, so I'm using the 1/32, which is also my favorite thing. Put that down the back, and I need just a small strip on the end there. And if you guys have seen me do this before, I like to just expose a few pieces of my backing just so I don't have to fight. Again, cardstock open or card base open. Center this on here. That way, if I do need to pull my cardstock away from my panel away from the card base, I don't have all of that adhesive exposed. And I've heard some people say to use liquid glue. That's a great idea. I don't know, this is just kind of what I've gotten used to. And it works for me. So, and then I just reach in and peel the backing off. Because this stuff is so sticky, you could do home repairs with it, I think, sometimes. Oh my goodness. We have a dog, a cat, and an aquarium with 15 with fish in it. That's awesome. I have plants that I barely keep alive. Barely. Speaking of which, now I'm thinking I should have watered them this morning. A mini schnauzer, I love it. Oh, thank you. All right, so I just really love adding this little heart, and I have some already done. The way I do it produces a lot of extra, but I want to show you how I did it because I do this quite a bit. Get my magnets out of the way. So I make my own pearl cardstock. So this is saltwater taffy with Versamark and pearl on it. Here is that cupcake. That Versamark, if you notice, makes it a little bit darker because the Versamark is a watermark ink. So with that pearl, same way if you would use clear embossing powder, it makes it a little bit darker. So that's the difference with the pearl. I want to show you, this is oyster, but I'm going to do this one again, just so you can see it. Again, that's the saltwater taffy. So the way I do it is I just take a scratch piece of paper, like if you have a little remnant left over, usually pick something smaller than this, but I wanted something to hold on to. So, sorry, I'm looking all kinds, you guys. I need a pet in the house, I guess, right? I just take my Versamark and squish it on the end of a scrap piece of paper, and I always try not to do the whole thing so that I have somewhere to put my fingers. So I just squish that on there so you can kind of see how it's wet and that Versamark tone on tone. And again, let's make sure I have my white pearl. Shake that on there. And I'm not going to put this away just yet because sometimes I like to do a double application. It's really just a personal thing. One is good. So luckily my heat tool is pretty warmed up today. Oh, sorry, I always forget. They moved the camera. It used to be much further in on the desk, so I apologize. I always have to correct myself. Bring myself in a little closer and stop reaching so far. All right, can you see that melting? Isn't that cool? And this is absolutely fine. One layer is great. I personally have started to find out that I like a second layer just because it really gets rid of any of the little kind of bumpy parts, really smooths everything out. So then I just take my Versamark again, go right over the same spot, and we'll go right back into our powder. shake it off. And again, heat that. A Yorkie named Elfie, I love it. This is a perfect time of year. My neighbors have a little corgi, and I spoil it rotten. I bring it toys all the time because he's so much fun. Gidget is his name, or her name. She's hilarious, so I just live through everyone else's pets. So let me funnel this back in. Put my lid on because that's where accidents happen, right? So normally I try to do all my die cutting before I emboss because you can disrupt the edges of the embossing powder, and you can get kind of a sheen difference. But I really like having the smooth edge that I get by die cutting them second, and it's just a lot easier. I don't have to adhere them down. I know Taylor showed a cool way to adhere them on Tuesday, but if I have my choice, this is my favorite way to do it. And then I die cut it, and I find with these little hearts, it's really not that big a deal. Again, these are the little bits hearts, and there's wonky hearts also, but completely up to you what your preference is on style, I guess. So let me grab my mini die cut machine. And living on the edge, no tape. Run that through. A golden doodle. Oh, I just had to send a... Yes, I'm telling you, I've needed too many of these cards lately. So I kind of figured I'm kind of done with my Christmas, like making Christmas things. I'm really ready to move on and do... I need other things, so poke these all out. Ready to move on from the Christmas cards, I am. So thought I would share this. I've been doing these cards for a little bit, and I love the pearl powder, so I thought, being there was no release around my life today, I thought this would be a good, something that I've had to show for a while. So there's all my little pearl hearts. Let me see if I can show the darker one, or the bigger one, not darker, bigger. Isn't that pretty? Again, it's so pretty in real life. If you have pearl, try it. And then you can pick whichever size heart you want. I like to use these little ones. And I usually kind of put it right there in the center. Again, saltwater taffy was the cardstock that I used. Then I'm going to use a little bit of a liquid glue. I am still a fan of the Barely Arts glue. Add a little heart there. Get that positioned. And then some of the extra hearts I can put on the inside of the card with my sentiment, or you can just save them. But I usually put one underneath my sentiment on the inside, which we can go ahead and stamp that too. Let that dry for a sec. That's what I love about liquid glue, is I'm still fussing. I want it kind of scooched over a little bit more than it is. There we go. So this one was cupcake. You can see how the cupcake got quite a bit lighter on that one. And then again, this is cupcake again. And this is 2 applications and this is 1. Can you see the difference in that too? It's kind of interesting. Makes it just a little more pearl, so it kind of lightens the cardstock a little bit. So let's do the inside of this card. I will grab my Misty just because I feel safer that way now that I've gotten the card done. Normally I would pick to do this before I assembled my card, but we have time, so I'm going to add it. And being as I know my mom wants this card and I need to get it into the mail to her, let's get this nice and straight. This is another one of those things. I told you I've been using my ruler for years. This is another way that I use my ruler. I kind of lay it, I thought I was straight, and now I do need to get that straightened up. my ruler, kind of following those grid lines of the Misty to get my stuff nice and straight. There we go. Obviously cannot speak while I am centering. Let's make sure that's centered on my cardstock though, and I do want to scooch it over. Just a smidge. Now do you see why I'm so fussy about it, that's why I use my stacklets the way I did for the outside. So let's add my VersaFine Claire. Again, press gently on it because it's some smaller font. We don't want it to look smushy. So there's my sentiment. And I usually take this bigger heart and add it to the inside. Get my glue. All right, let's see. Are we still chiming in? Everyone, good morning. Oh, some are still joining us. Yes, thank you. There we go. So there is my kind of exploration with you of the pearl embossing powders, and I hope you try it. Maybe some of you have it in your arsenal. I think it might have been, if I am not wrong, I hope I'm not wrong on this, it might have been from the Advent calendar last year, and it is now for sale. But I do think, because my bottle that I have at home is like this tall, and I think that might have been out of the Advent calendar. So check, you might already have it, but that's the TE White Embossing Powder. And I hope you all have a very wonderful holiday and get to spend some time with family and friends. And I hope you tried the Pearl Embossing Powder. If you do, make sure you share it on the fan page. And have a great, great holiday. Thanks for